Hey there, I'm Darian, one of the co-founders of Ply, and in this series of videos, we're gonna go through the preparation stages for your inventory audit. You may have 100 items or 1,000 items, and this is a space where we're going to walk through those preparation steps so that you and your team are well prepared even before you begin your inventory audit. The first and arguably most important step in setting up your space is making sure that we have organization within our category of products. So you can see up here we have 3/4 inch couplings all the way down to 4-inch couplings. And the reason why we did this is, well, one, safety. We want to make sure that the largest items remain on the bottom just in case something falls. We don't want to injure someone. The second one is it allows us to create that efficiency that we're looking for in our space. So in this example, we have our EMT couplings, and then we have our galvanized couplings, and then we have our conduits. This organization allows us to have that efficiency throughout the warehouse and creates a flow that allows people to pick items even though they don't know exactly where they are. Next, we're going to cover organization schema for your material items. Now, one of the most common ways to do this is using a schema called aisle, bay, level, and bin. This provides you exact coordinates of where that item actually lives. One of the benefits of doing this is anyone in your organization has the ability of picking up a pick list and looking at that list of items within Ply to be able to find exactly where that item is to scan that item out. Now let's go through an example. So in this example, we're in aisle 1. And I'm standing at bay 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's say that I'm looking for level 3, bin 3. So level 3 would be 1, 2, 3. And we recommend left to right counting for bins. So this would be bin 1, 2, 3, and I got my item. One helpful tip that we would recommend doing is while you're preparing your space, making sure that you have an organizational schema and labeling them accordingly. This allows you to not only agree on what that schema is going to be, but also gives your team a reference point on where they are as they're entering items into Ply. So in this example, since we're on aisle 1, bay 4, and I'm going to hang this tag here now. Now, anyone that comes by here knows that this will be B4 or whatever schema that we decide. And as they're counting, can make a reference to that. So while they're inputting the data into Ply, they're inputting it the correct location. Next, we're going to talk about bins and bin organization. Now, there are all kinds of different bins out there. As you can see here, there's different color bins, different sizes of bins. You may have even created custom bins within your organization. Today, we're just going to show you a few different options that will work within your business. So the first one is just a basic bin that you can buy from Uline. We can provide links to this. This is a bin that should only contain one item at a time. It's really important that you don't mix different items within your bins, mostly because it creates disorganization. If you have a lot of consumables or smaller items and you want to conserve space, you can create a bin split like this one. Again, a bin from Uline that you can buy these splits in between. And this bin will actually have 2 barcodes on it representing the 2 different sides for those items. Now, if you're like us at Ply, we nerd out about this stuff, so just let us know if you have any questions or need a recommendation further on your space. Next, we're going to talk about mapping out your space. This is a critical step, especially if you're at the very beginning or maybe you've moved into a new warehouse perhaps. One of the things that we would recommend doing is drawing out your space, getting a blueprint, and then mapping out the different aisles that you have in the different bays. This will allow you to create that organization and catalog where things should be, and then you can begin to move them into their correct space. I'm going to quickly show you what we did in this space, so hopefully you can draw some inspiration for yours. When we first started working with this electrical contractor, one of the things that we wanted to make sure of was the flow and the most frequently used items. This was really important to them, especially as the contractors and the technicians were coming in the beginning of the day and picking items that they needed. And so what we decided on was being able to have the hardware on the left. It allowed us to have more space and stack these bins. On the right, we had fuses. The fuses were something that were important to be able to pick frequently, obviously because they're a little timely as well. And so as we move down the aisle, we continued with the hardware. And then on the right side, we have our breakers. But let's go take a look at the other side as well. All right, so continuing on this aisle, one of the things that was most important for this electrical contractor was making sure that we had the space, because a lot of these items here are quite large, but also keeping the consistency for this organization. So you can see here that we have our conduits and couplings on this wall, and then we have our connectors over here. And so one of the tips that we recommended is, while we had this blank canvas, was being able to ensure that we had the most frequented items in the front and the least frequented items in the back, while maintaining that organization. Now, this may seem like a little bit of a mental gymnastics, but that's why you should write this out on your blueprint first, and as a company, decide on how you want to organize all of this. A tip that we would recommend is, while you're doing all of this, make sure that you have those goals in mind throughout each aisle. All right, so that's it for preparing your space. Next, we're going to talk about the fun stuff, which is barcoding and inventory intake.